Hello, YouTube. This is Copy 7789 here, coming at you guys with my Road to YCS Philadelphia Part 3. This one's going to be called Defeating the Meta. Now, I know I said I was going to talk about deck types in their own, little, little videos, like I was going to do a video for each. But I just decided to combine them all into one and talk about the deck that I'll be playing, which is Chaos Dragons, matchup against each of the decks, and then a couple things here and there, basically, as far as what I expect to see. Now, for those of you who, I'll say this for you, those of you who don't know what the meta stands for, it's basically the decks that you expect to see most going into a tournament. Like non-meta decks are just basically decks that people really don't play all that much. So yeah, I'm gonna go down kind of a list, talk about the matchup I think that the deck has against each deck, and then explain a couple things. Yeah, that's really just basically it. For those of you who don't know, I am playing Chaos Dragon. I do plan on playing Chaos Dragons. It's really actually not even really plan on playing it. I will be playing Chaos Dragons at YCS Philadelphia. So that's that. So yeah, let me just get into the decks that I expect to see. Okay. So first is obviously the deck that just won, and that would be Rescue Rabbit. I definitely expect to see Rescue Rabbit. It is still a very good deck, like I said before. It's kind of annoying to play, I guess, but my deck really doesn't have all that bad of a matchup. Most of them, well, actually, basically all the monsters that I bring out are bigger than Lagia, bigger than Dolka. And Lance, they're not always going to have the Lance to get over my stuff. So I can honestly say I'm not too worried about the Rabbit matchup. Obviously, if they draw Broken, then it's going to be absolutely difficult for me to get around all their stuff. Like if they draw Rabbit Torguy and they go first, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to get things going. So yeah, there's that. That's really basically how I feel about the Rabbit matchup. I had been playing a couple Rabbit decks on Dueling Network, beating them relatively easily. So yeah, Rabbit. Next is definitely meta, which is Insectors. Now, I put a Hopper out here mainly because I don't have a Ladybug or a Hornet to throw out, but it's just another Insector card. This is the matchup that worries me. Insectors has a very good well, I don't want to say a very good matchup. It has a pretty good matchup against my deck, just because of its ability to destroy things. And the fact that if I don't have a Veiler or something to stop them, it's really, really easy for that deck to go off. Or basically they know, even if I have Gores, it's really, really easy for them to just explode. And I mean, I'll say this, if I have Gores, I do have a chance to come back. But if I don't, or I don't have Veiler, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to win the game. And then now, especially since the last YCS, they're incorporating cards like Safe Zone. Safe Zone is one of those cards that is relatively difficult for me to get around, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, yeah, I do run Chaos Sorcerers to get around the Safe Zones. However, Safe Zone is a very, very good card for a deck like this, where it can just protect their monsters if they don't have what they need, and then they can just basically do whatever they want. Like they can have Safe Zone on the Dragonfly, activate Dragonfly's effect, start popping stuff, and basically just start going off from there. If they have the if they have the Hornet and stuff. Safe Zone was a very, very good choice, actually, that I thought going into Chicago. It's a very good card for this kind of a deck, I'll say, that needs to protect the stuff until it can go off. And then with the introduction of Ladybug, like I said, I don't have a Ladybug here, but they have access to rank 5s, and rank 5s actually can get pretty big. So yeah, that's really about all I have to say about Insectors. It's not a great matchup, but hopefully with side decking it should get better. So yeah. Next is basically what I consider the third meta deck right now, and that is the Mirror Match. I highly expect to see a lot of Chaos Dragon decks there as well. This deck is really, really good, like I said. And with the Chaos Dragon deck, it's really more about who draws better. I hate to say it that way, but it's really the way it works. If I draw well, my opponent does not, I'm most likely going to win the game because I can just throw out more beaters than they can. And then vice versa, of course. If they can throw out more beaters than I can, I'm most likely going to lose the game. So yeah, there's really that. I really don't really want to talk too much about the mirror match. It's basically heads or tails, and it's really more how you side deck to is going to come into play in the mirror match. But I do expect to see a lot of mirror match. Now we'll get to the decks where I think I'll see some, but there's a possibility that I won't play any. And then we'll start first with Dark World. I still see a decent amount of people playing Dark World. Dark World is not a bad deck, but I have no fear. I can honestly say I have no fear going into the Dark World matchup. Deck Devastation Virus really doesn't hit me that bad, especially when they're throwing my Lights and Darks in the grave for me to just bring out my Chaos monsters. Obviously, Grapha is very big at 3,000. But it's really not hard for me, like I said, to summon a Chaos Sorcerer and remove their Grapha. Or, since I'm personally running 3 Dark Flare Dragon, it's not hard for me to activate Dark Flare Dragon's effect and just remove their Grapha and not have to worry about it. And then they're going to have to waste snow searches on Grapha, and that's the one thing that the deck doesn't want to do, is have to search for Grapha off of snow. They just want to be able to search for either another snow or gates or something like that, and not have to worry about it, and just be able to constantly bring out Grapha. Obviously, removing Grapha has always been big against the deck. So I'm really not too worried about the Dark World matchup. I had played a couple Dark World decks on Dueling Network as well, and I had beaten basically every one of them that I played. I can honestly say that I'm not too worried about the Dark World matchup. Next, you have the Hero matchup. I'll say this. Heroes runs a lot of back row, such as Dimensional Prison and Bottomless Trap Hole. That can obviously be problematic. And Thunder King can be a nuisance as well, I guess is the best way to put it. Heroes one of those matchups where I'm not exactly sure how it'll go. I think it could be more of a like 50-50 kind of matchup where basically if they don't draw that many back rows, I'm going to win, but they normally do draw a lot of back rows, obviously. I think it's more if they draw the Gemini Sparks, because I had played a couple hero decks on Dueling Network as well, like I said. I don't know if I said it in the last video. I had beaten them, but it was one of those, like, it's a draw-out game. That's really what it is. It's more of a draw-you-out kind of game that they play. Or that you have to play against the deck. It's basically if they don't draw the Gemini Sparks and the Miracle Fusions, obviously I should win. But if they do, it's going to be I don't want to say it's going to be a tough one, but it's going to be a lot more drawn out than I'd like it to be. If I can remove their Stratos, like I said, if Dark Flare comes into play in that matchup as well, I believe, where if I can remove their Stratoses and their aliases before they can use the Miracle Fusions, then I should be okay. Because most of my monsters that I'm going to bring out are going to be bigger than Alias and bigger than Stratos or anything else that they can summon. However, if I cannot get to do that, then it will be more drawn out, like I said. So yeah, there's really that. And then, I really don't want to talk about it too long, but there's obviously going to be one matchup that everyone hates to play, and that would be Chainburn. Chainburn sucks to play. I'm not going to go into more than that. It can be a very bad matchup because I'm not going to be maining MSTs either. And they can just chain all their stuff. So yeah. Obviously, I'll be siding MSTs, but I really just hope not to face Chainburn. That's really just the way I put it. Now I'm going to talk about two, I guess I'll say more rogue matchups that there is a possibility that I could see. And could be very, very problematic, I guess is the best way to put it. The first is Malefic Skill Drain. Skill Drain really isn't the problem with the deck. It's the Malefic monsters that they bring out. If they have a Skill Drain up and they're able to bring out a Malefic Cyber End Dragon, I'm basically shit out of luck. Like, unless I draw Heavy Storm to get rid of the skill drain, which normally they have a bribe or a Starlight Road to back it up, it is going to be extremely, extremely difficult to win that matchup. I can honestly and truly say that. Um, I remember talking with my buddy about it, and he said it is probably one of the hardest matchups that this deck has. Now, I don't expect many people to be playing Malefic Skill Drain. However, there is a small chance that I could see one, and if I do, then I'm not very confident about that matchup. So there's that. And then there's one other matchup, and it's Gravekeepers, of course. I really hope not to see Gravekeepers. Now, I did say in the video yesterday that I ended up beating a Gravekeepers on Dueling Network, but I test that too. He didn't draw Royal Tribute, and he also did not. He also really didn't have much follow up after he played the Necro Valleys on me, and I had all the things like I had Rykos, I had Lilas, and I'm not always going to have those to get rid of the Necro Valley. And Necro Valley can be very problematic. Obviously, I can bring up Light Pulsar. However, I can't really bring out any of my other monsters except with, like, tributing, like Darkness Metal's effect. I can't use that except from the hand. Dark Flare's effect. I can't use that to get the Light Pulsar into the grave if I would have it in hand. I can't bring out Chaos Sorcerer or Blackluster Soldier because I can't remove from play because of Necro Valley. So obviously Necro Valley is one of those cards. Oh, and then also that comes into play in the Malefic Skill Drain, matchup as well because they play Necro Valley. Because, well, I guess you should really call it more Malefic Gear Town. But they do play Necro Valley. They set their Gear Towns, or they activate their Gear Towns, they set their Necro Valley, and then they pop their Gear Town, obviously get a Gadrotron Dragon, and then Necro Valley. They flip up their Necro Valley, and there's really absolutely nothing I can do there, like, at all. So yeah, like I said, those are really the two matchups that I absolutely, other than Chainburn, because Chainburn obviously just in general sucks to play. And another thing with Chainburn, my monsters are so big, if they have a cylinder or dimensional wall down, that's going to hurt. Like, I'll be taking a lot of life points that I really can't afford to take. So yeah, I guess that's really all I have on defeating the meta. Obviously, side deck is going to be a huge, huge factor as to what I play. What I play to be prepared against basically everything that I think I'm going to play against. And I think I have a good idea of how my side deck's going to look. Now, like I said before, I'm not going to show you guys my side deck, but I do have a good idea on how it's going to look and how well I think I'll be able to deal with some of the decks that I expect to see. Obviously, my main concern is going to be Inzectors. That's really what I'm going to be siding more. I'll say more. Not heavily, but a good bit of my side deck will probably go towards facing Inzectors. I think I have, obviously I'll have a couple things for Rabbit, a couple things for the Mirror, of course, and then a couple things here and there for some of the other decks, like I said, that I expect to see. So yeah. That is really all I have as for part 3, defeating the meta. I will say this. For the deck profile that I showed you guys yesterday, or not yesterday, maybe it was yesterday, I can't remember. It was either yesterday or Tuesday, May 8th. Yeah, so then Tuesday. The extra deck will not look like that. I realized that the one I have on Dueling Network did not have Inzector Excabeetle, and I absolutely need that card in my extra deck. And I also think I need Photon. I want to find a way to fit a Photon Strike Bouncer in there as well. I was actually playing an Inzector on Dueling Network, and I had double Chaos Sorcerer up, and I really, really, really wanted to go into Bouncer to basically seal the game. And I did not realize that I I'll say I knew that I didn't have it in my extra deck. Now, I still ended up winning the game because I was in such an advantageous position at that point already. However, it still would have been nice because I didn't have the game shot at that point, and I wanted to be sure that an Exector Monster wasn't going to hurt me at all. So yeah. Like I said, and maybe a couple changes here and there to the extra deck. When I do have my report, which will be um, obviously after the YCS, I will show you guys a full deck profile, as in main deck, extra deck, and side deck, as far as what I played, my choices, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's really about all I have, guys, as far as part 3 for Road to YCS Philadelphia. I'm trying to figure out what else I want to do as far as other parts to this series. I'll probably have 1 or 2 more videos as far as this series goes. Um, so yeah, just stay tuned for that. Today will probably be the last day this week that I'll be doing it. I might do, like I said, another part next week at some point if I think of something else that I want to do. So yeah, yeah, that's all I really have, guys. As always, I really, really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so very much. And stay tuned for part 4. Don't know what it is yet, but I will keep you updated. All right, peace out, YouTube.